You're listening to the Sports Fix.
Sports Fix listeners, don't wait all day or all week to get in on the fun. The party doesn't stop when we go off the air all week long. The Sports Fix social media sites are your one-stop shop for all things Cleveland sports. Jump over to Facebook.com/TheSportsFix, Facebook.com/TheSportsFix, and become a fan today because we love fans and they create some of the best sports talk in town, Daddy. You'll enjoy talking to your fellow Cleveland sports fans on the Sports Fix fan page. And if Twitter's your thing, well, you know how we do it. Tweet with us at the SportsFixCLE. It's that simple.
Twitter.com/TheSportsFixCLE, baby.
Chat live with the crew during all your favorite Cleveland sports events, tickets and contests and trivia and so much more. Get with us today, the Sports Fix on social media. Facebook.com/TheSportsFix. Tweet with us at the SportsFixCLE. Join the Sports Fix on Facebook and Twitter today. Business owners and professionals, do you want to take your business, your product, your team, your event to the next level? You want to advertise right here with the Sports Fix. Our listeners are among the most loyal listeners on the dial, terrestrial or internet, and our audience is one of the greatest and most receptive audiences in all of radio. The Sports Fix universe is not only listeners of the radio show, but tens of thousands of fans on Facebook and Twitter. Our social media universe expands by the day, all in the prime demographics to help drive your business directly into the winner's circle. Don't take my word for it. The Sports Fix comes with reference upon reference that have done business with us in the past and had some fun along the way. For more information on how we can help you knock your business, event, team, product, or promotion out of the park, email me, Jerry Myers, thesportsfix@AOL.com. That's thesportsfix@AOL.com, and let me help you swing for the fences and hit it out of the park. Advertise your product right here on the Sports Fix.
Portions of the Sports Fix brought to you by Harry Buffalo. Harry Buffalo North Olmsted presents bike nights every Monday, all summer long. $3 beers and drinks for bikers, $5 pizza and more. Harry Buffalo. Join the herd.
Hey, it's Hugh Hewitt, and when I want to know what's going on with the Cavs, the Browns, and the Tribe, I tune into Sports Fix.
Live in Ohio, it's time to get your fix. The Sports Fix.
Oh, man. I probably sound like each and every one of you right now when I say, is it Monday already? I mean, just seems like yesterday. Well, 2 days ago anyways, that I said, have a great weekend. And now here we are, back in the grind, back at it again. But guess what? That grind, it grinds a little bit less now that the Sports Fix is back on the air, Daddy, and we will do our best to get you through your work day as quickly and fun-filled as possible. And we have a lot going on today. First off, did you guys see last night? Well, a lot of things last night. Breaking Bad, back on the air. The greatest show on television today. I'm telling you, if you watch it, then you know I ain't lying. And if you don't watch it, I behoove you to check out Breaking Bad. And the final episodes started last night. But before that, did you guys hear about the big thing? It was trending all over Twitter. It was like, man, it blew the Skywire away. This was a Skywire with an entire 25 people walking on it, teetering without a net, ready to fall into the abyss, when lo and behold, an entirely different story was told. Man, what a crazy ride the last 72 hours, but definitely the last 24 hours for the Cleveland Indians were. Can you believe? And I believe, I've got faith, but can you believe how they just came back from the dead, the night of the living dead yesterday? We're going to talk about that with the man who hosts the Indians' pre- and post-game shows on Sports Time Ohio, Al PAWLOWSKI, my main man. He's going to join us here on the Sports Fix at 12:15. Welcome into the Sports Fix, my friends. As I'm rambling on about Heisenberg and the Indians and all of that, welcome into the Sports Fix. I am your host, the Big Daddy on the microphone, J-Rocc, Jerry Myers, welcoming you in to not just 90 minutes of power, Daddy. Can't be an hour of power, and I got to figure out how to rhyme with 90 minutes. But anyways, it is jam-packed today and every weekday, Monday through Friday at noon. This week alone, Al PAWLOWSKI with us today. John McMullen from the Sports Network is with us. We've got Mike Brandenberry coming on this week. Dr. Football, Jeff Gorman will be with us. My man, for the first time ever appearing on the show, you might recognize him from Sports Time Ohio's Training Camp Daily. He's on the Browns Radio Network, WTAM. He's all over the dial. My man, Andre Knott, is going to join us later this week to talk Browns. Sports writer Jonathan Knight, Ryan Ruiz, BJ Riddell, the fantasy football guru himself, all lined up. A huge week this week. So you picked the right time if it's the first time to come on into the Sports Fix. Plus, in just a few minutes, I'm going to tell you how we've got some Cleveland Browns versus Detroit Lions tickets to give away this week and so much more. So let's do what we do and get this bad boy rolling right off the bat. The Sports Fix is brought to you, Vashawn, every time I plug somebody, Vashawn chimes in on the chat room that we have on one of our platforms that he also doesn't get followed or ignored by that person on Twitter too. Good to see tradition holds up here on the Sports Fix. The Sports Fix is brought to you by the Hairy Buffalo in North Olmsted, the home of bike nights every Monday night, which is tonight. So jump on your bike and take that bad boy out to the Hairy Buffalo in North Olmsted. They've got $25 cash door prizes for every 25th bike that rolls through the lot, $3 beers and drinks. They've got pizza and wing specials and so much more. It's the place to be out that way. North Olmsted, Hairy Buffalo for bike night. And remember, beginning with the Dolphins game, we will be live each and every Cleveland Browns game broadcasting pre, post, and half game shows from the Hairy Buffalo North Olmsted. So have a good time and watch your Browns games with the Sports Fix and J-Rocc Daddy at the Hairy Buffalo North Olmsted. GV Art and Design, not only are they proud sponsors of the show, not only have they been partners with us for a long time, they make some of the best Cleveland apparel in town. You guys know it. They are growing by leaps and bounds to the point that this weekend, I'm sure a lot of you were there because I've heard from a lot of our listeners who headed out. They had the grand opening of their first brick and mortar store, the real deal, out in Lakewood on Detroit Avenue. You've got to go out and check them out. The line was out the door and down the street, legit. They literally sold out of everything in the store. It's a beautiful place. You've got to go check them out. And in just a minute, don't forget, one of you listening right now is going to win a free t-shirt from gvartwork.com. And whenever you make a purchase from them, by the way, don't forget, you can save 10% on your purchase just for using the sales code FIX and letting them know that you heard about it here on the Sports Fix. Quick Lane at Valley Ford Truck. They've been with us for years. Quicklane.com/Valley Ford Truck. Bill Hershey, Bill Opalich are the guys to take care of your car repair needs, whether it's big or small, truck, commercial vehicle, standard, compact, it doesn't matter. Check them out. Quick Lane at Valley Ford Truck. And don't forget Signs and Ship, signsandship.com, the official business printing source of the Sports Fix. Locations here, outside of Cleveland and Elyria, Ohio, which is where I do business. But they've got Virginia, Pennsylvania, and Florida as well. Big or small, they can help your business expand, get started, or go to the next level, whatever it is. And remember, time's running out, clock's a-ticking. Anybody who makes a purchase of $200 or more with signsandship.com between now and September 1st, you'll get a professional studio-quality radio commercial produced by yours truly for your business to air right here on the Sports Fix for 4 weeks, free of charge, as our courtesy to you for working with our friends at Signs and Ship. And I'm going to tell you more about signsandship.com in a little bit. I told you, it takes a nation. Now, the phone lines, we're going to open them up a couple of times throughout the show, and the phone lines are crucial for the next 3 days, because as I said, I have Cleveland Browns tickets, courtesy of our friend Jamie Urso and Tri-State Quality Builders. We have got several pairs of tickets to give away to this Thursday's Cleveland Browns-Detroit Lions game at Cleveland Browns Stadium. How can you win these tickets? There's 2 ways, because we have 2 separate contests. Number one, and this one is really what it's all about. We're going to hook some listeners up for sure. But what it's all about is this. Jamie talked to me and he said, hey, let's come up with a really good way to get these tickets to somebody who deserves it. So here's what we've done. Email thesportsfix@AOL.com or tell anybody that you know, and you can nominate yourself or anybody that you know who you feel truly deserves a pair of tickets to go check out the Cleveland Browns this Thursday against the Lions. We have already gotten dozens of incredible, some of them very touching and emotional, very, very touching stories we've already gotten. So I'm going to tell you right now, the competition is thick, but we're going to go through these as a team. A couple of us are going to get together and look through these and pick a few really deserving winners. So email thesportsfix@AOL.com and nominate somebody that you think is deserving to go to this week's Cleveland Browns game, and we're going to hook somebody up. We'll announce that winner Wednesday on the show. Now, we also have 2 other pairs of tickets to give away, and those are going to you, the listeners of the show. How do you get your name in the hopper to win a pair of tickets? It's simple. Call the show. When I open up the phone lines, you call and give us your take. Every take, I write down your name, I put it in the hopper, and on Wednesday, I'm reaching in that bad boy, and I'm pulling out not 1, but 2 winners to send 2 pairs of people to check out the Browns and the Lions this Thursday. So all you have to do is interact with us, and we may be interacting with you all the way down to Cleveland Browns Stadium. So spread the word. Keep your ears open, because later on this show, later on this hour, I will be opening up the phone lines at 216-539-7535, 216-539-7535, and when I do, give us a call, give us your take, and you just may be checking out the Cleveland Browns, courtesy of the Sports Fix, Jamie Urso, and Tri-State Quality Builders. All right, guys, Al Pawlowski's coming up in just a few minutes. Hey, we're going to open up the phone lines later, but you can start talking to us now. Hit us up on Facebook, facebook.com/thesportsfix. Like us while you're there. Our social media just keeps growing. We're over 18,000 strong. Facebook.com/thesportsfix. Tweet with us if Twitter's your thing, and we have gotten a lot of interaction going on the Twitter lately, a lot of new followers. We are really happy about that. Tweet with us at thesportsfixcle. As I already mentioned, our email address is thesportsfix@AOL.com, and you can hit us up on our website. It's your one-stop shop 24 hours a day. All things Cleveland sports and the Sports Fix. We've got all of our social media sites and widgets and everything else. And you know what? I was getting ready to go to the break, but I forgot. I've got to do what I've got to do. Not only are we giving out them Browns tickets, but it's time to give away this week's t-shirt from our friends at gvartwork.com. And I'll tell you what, really proud of you guys, because as you know, for those of you who are first-time listeners, you get your name in the hopper. Every Monday, we draw a free t-shirt here from GV Artwork. You get to go pick out the t-shirt of your choice. All you had to do to get your name in this hopper right now is share the show right now. Send out a message on your social media. You tell somebody to listen to the Sports Fix. You tell them the website, and you tag us so that we can see it. Or if you're listening to the replay, you tag us and you post that on your wall, and that's how you get in. Well, I'll tell you what, guys. This week, it was the biggest week of entries since the first week of this contest. Really, really proud of you guys. So let's pull this bad boy out. Let's get the hopper together here, because right now, I am pulling a name out of the hat. And here we go. Let's see what we've got. The winner of this week's t-shirt of their choosing from gvartwork.com, GV Art and Design. It's not just a shirt, it's a statement. Aaron Donnelly. Aaron Donnelly. I will find you if you're not listening to the show. If you are, feel free to hit me up. I know you're on our Twitter. I believe I recognize you from Facebook as well. Aaron, you have won a t-shirt of your choice from gvartwork.com. So contact us, or we'll reach out to you and we'll hook you up with a t-shirt of your choice from gvartwork.com. All right, guys, now the hopper's closed. It's back open for next week, so jump in now. Tell somebody to listen to the show right now. Tag us, let us see it, and you'll be the first people entered next week, just like Aaron just did, to win the t-shirt of your choice from gvartwork.com. All right, I'm hitting the break. When we come back, I told you he was coming back. My man, Al Pawlowski from Sports Time Ohio, joins us next. Live, we're talking Tribe, right here on the Sports Fix.
This is the Sports Fix.
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
They call me Mr. Pig!
We'll call you whatever you like, as long as we can call you a fan of the Sports Fix.
Hey guys, just want to take a minute as we go to the break here and talk to you a little bit more about my friends at SignsAndShip.com. You know that Signs and Ship is the official business printing source of the Sports Fix. They make our signs and banners, business cards, promotional materials, all the things that we're using to help us grow into the show you love and the show we know that we can be. Signs and Ship can help you and your business do the same thing. We already told you earlier in the program about the Business Benefactor Program, where if you spend $200 at Signs and Ship, we'll produce you a studio quality commercial for your business and air it for free right here on the Sports Fix. But I want to talk now with two-a-days starting and seasons getting ready to kick in with football, high school coaches and athletic directors, football league commissioners, all kinds of things coming together here. You're going to need signs and banners. You may need t-shirts, uniforms, hats, all the things that go with your team, your school, and your event. Signs and Ship can help you quality printing at affordable prices. I know that you've got a budget and they won't break it. It's 4th and 10. The clock is ticking. Don't run out the clock. Throw a Hail Mary and score a touchdown. Talk to our friends at SignsAndShip.com. Make an appointment and let them take your team, event, or business to the next level. SignsAndShip.com.
You're listening to the Sports Fix. We'll be right back.
Bike nights are back at Harry Buffalo North Olmsted. Rev up your hogs and head on down to Harry Buffalo North Olmsted every Monday night from 5:30 to 9:30. Enjoy $3 drinks and beers, $5 pizzas, and crazy wing specials for all bikers. Woo-hoo! Hot bikes, good friends, and great times are waiting for you. 4824 Great Northern Boulevard in North Olmsted.
Right outside Great Northern Mall.
Monday bike nights at Harry Buffalo. Proud sponsor of the Sports Fix. Harry Buffalo. Join the herd. Portions of the Sports Fix brought to you by Quick Lane at Valley Ford Truck, home of the low price tire guarantee. quicklane.com/Valley Ford Truck.
Hey everybody, this is Jerry the King Lawler from WWE, and you're listening to the Sports Fix.
Come on, man. And with the local DBC news, LL Cool J with a triumphant comeback.
For a salute. But tonight...
Don't call it a comeback. I've been here for years. I'm rocking my pants.
Welcome back to the Sports Fix, streaming live here on the sportsfix.net. And yeah, don't call it a comeback. Call it what in the world happened yesterday, because with 10 outs left to go, the Indians looked truly as beaten as a team could be. 5 runs could have looked like 50 for the way things were going over the last 6 days. And then, boom, just like that, we all witnessed it yesterday. The Indians, as they've done all season, just when you're ready to count them out or think, okay, this is as far as they're going to go, they do something that makes you go, man, where did that come from? Yesterday, they did it again with an incredible 6-5 come from behind victory, which at least takes the sting away from the road, or from the homestand heading into the road trip, as we talked about at the end of last week. I'm going to close the phone lines because on the hotline right now, he's been with us a long time, but for the first time here in the afternoons, my man from Sports Time Ohio, he's the pre- and post-game host of the Indians. He also is the announcer for Cleveland State Vikings basketball and so many other things. My man, Al PAWLOWSKI from Sports Time Ohio. Al, welcome back to the Sports Fix.
Hey, Jerry, great to be here.
It's great to have you. I'll tell you what, it was great to be there yesterday. I mean, come on, you probably have no answer, just like the rest of us, for what we saw yesterday with the Indians, where they just suddenly flipped that switch when really the pulse was faint, if anything.
Yeah, it was good to see. The Indians really needed that win yesterday, especially, Jerry, with them, losing 6 games on the homestand. And, if they would have lost yesterday, it would have been the first time since August of 1990 that they lost 7 games and gone 0-7 on a homestand. So it was good to see that, get them back on track a little bit. If you look at the schedules of the other teams, the wild card races, the Indians have, I think, a much easier schedule, especially in September. August is going to be a little difficult here with trips to Oakland and Atlanta and Detroit. But if they can get through August okay, September could be a positive month for them. So good to get that win, get back on the winning track. Let's see what Salazar can do tonight.
Yeah, that's going to be a really interesting one to see there. This whole week, I mean, obviously all the buildup, you're there every day. You guys are there in and out. You have the pulse of this team. I mean, the last week has been just an incredibly tough one, not just on the players, but on Tito, on the fans, on everybody, because think a week ago, you had such expectations heading into the Detroit series, and then it just seemed that might have deflated these guys. Do you think that the beginning of the Angels series may have been a little bit still of carryover from Detroit?
Well, I think if anything, what I saw last week was a team that was pressing. You know, once they lost to Detroit, the first game, I thought they started to press offensively, and even on Wednesday when they took it to extra innings, I still saw some at-bats that were pressing, and they ended up losing that game. And I thought Thursday and Friday, they got down early Friday. You know, it's nothing conscious they're trying to do, but, you know, you go up there and you want to get those runs back quickly. You want to get those wins back as quick as possible. It's almost on a subconscious level. But one of the hallmarks of this team offensively has been, you know, taking pitches, making sure that you get a good pitch to swing at. And this past week, I didn't see that typical sort of approach that I saw, you know, for the first 4 months of the season. So we saw that a little bit yesterday after Swisher hit that home run and made the score 5-2. I think then these guys started to relax a little bit. Vilas got that home run, and they thought, okay, yeah, here we go. We can do this. Let's take the good approaches. Let's come back, and that's what happened. But that's what I saw more than anything, Jerry. I think the approaches by the hitters, they were a little bit over-anxious this past week.
You know what? That's exactly the same thing I was seeing. A lot of swinging at the first pitches, a lot of not doing the things that they had done to get themselves in the position where everybody was so pumped up for Detroit coming into town. And you're right. It seemed like as soon as Swisher and Aviles hit those home runs, it's almost like that pressure had built up, and that kind of popped the cork and just unleashed it. And then you saw good at bats. You saw a much different team from that point forward.
Yeah, you really did, and that's the key to this team. You know, when they bat, they've got enough talent there to win games, but they're not a type of team, as Terry Francona said, that's going to just show up and win. They've got to grind out some at bats. They've got to, you know, play their best game. Their room for error is not huge, but it's slight. But if they go out there with good approaches and they get the good quality pitching they have, for the most part, especially in the last month and a half, this team can win games. This team can get to October, can get to the postseason, but you've got to have those quality at-bats. And when they have those, which they have for most of this season, this team can definitely be a team that can be playing baseball in a couple of months.
Yeah, and we've talked about the streaky nature. Everybody knows that they've gone through streaks the entire season. This can harken back to, if you remember, when they had the bad road trip, and then they took the last two games there from Texas and were able to use that to kind of carry over back into the homestand and get things righted. Then they went on another streak. I believe they won 18 of 25 after that, to where, you know, maybe that win yesterday, it kind of wipes, it doesn't erase it, but it takes that bad taste out. And we've talked on our show here, and I know you guys have as well, about how Tito's mantra is one day at a time. And really, this is where that pays true dividends, because to get through this, you have to take it one day, one at bat, one pitch at a time.
Well, absolutely, and you know that's the one thing about this team. Yeah, it's had its ups and downs this year, but thankfully, you know, the ups have been a little bit higher than the downs have been low. So that's a good thing. Now the end of the 6-game losing streak at 6, can they turn this around and go on a winning streak here? And if they can do that, they can, to some degree nullify the negative homestand. It's still bad they lost 4 games to Detroit. Those are like double losses in the AL Central because, every time that happens, it's a 2-game swing pretty much. Well, I don't know if they can catch Detroit. They still have a mathematical chance, yes, but they're 7 games out. Detroit's playing some very good baseball. Detroit has an extremely easy schedule, for the rest of August and September as well. So it's going to be tough. Not saying it's impossible, but it won't be easy. However, when you look at that wild card, I understand that there's more teams competing for the wild card spots, but a couple of things. One, Tampa Bay has cooled off considerably in the last week and a half. Their position, which looked like a lock, looked like it was going to be between them and Boston for the AL East, with the loser, their consolation prize being the number 1 seed in the wild card. Well, now the way things have gone, it looks like Boston is the clear favorite now to win that American League East. Tampa's come back to the pack, so now you have 2 wild card spots when you include Tampa, and you've got Tampa, Oakland/Texas. Right now it's Oakland with Texas leading the West, Baltimore, to some degree New York, Kansas City, and Cleveland. So you've got those teams competing for 2 spots. And again, if you look at the schedules going down the stretch, Baltimore's is just a ridiculously hard schedule. So I I really don't think the Indians have to worry a ton about the Orioles, and maybe I'm going out on a little bit of a limb saying that, but I think the Indians are going to finish ahead of Baltimore when this season is over. We'll see. But they still have to look at the West. They've got that key series coming up against Oakland. That's a team they're going to have to beat out. They've got to worry about Tampa Bay, but even though Tampa Bay's lost recently, they're still right there. And they still have to consider, the Yankees and the Royals. But when you look at all the schedules, when you look at September, I think the Indians have the most favorable of all of those. So they've got to get through August, be right there in that wild card race, and then I think they got a good shot at getting one of those wild cards.
And I'm with you right there, and I think the path is drawn right out for him. We've talked about that schedule compared to the other teams. One person that's really going to be crucial to them going down the stretch on the offensive side of the ball is Asdrubal Cabrera. We saw him get ejected early yesterday. You can just see the frustration piling up on Asdrubal as he's gone through a slump and really tried to work through it here. But he's hitting the ball hard, but he's hitting it right at people.
Yeah, that's probably the most frustrating thing for him because he is putting some good swings on the ball. He's not getting rewarded for it. He seems like the most unluckiest guy in the batting order right now for the last 3 weeks. But Terry Francona has said it. He needs Asdrubal Cabrera to be producing for this team, to be a team that can threaten to get to October. And because if he doesn't, now you've got to have a couple other guys step up and maybe perform over their heads for the last month and a half. But it's the easier thing is to have the guy that's done it before, and that's Cabrera, and I think he will. I really do. He's gotten some rest this year, more so than in the years past. The last couple of years he's tailed off towards the end of the season. I don't think that's happening now. We'll see. What he does. There's no guarantees here, but I think you're right, Jerry. Asdrubal Cabrera producing at a typical Asdrubal Cabrera pace, and we're not asking him to go over his head here, but just be Asdrubal Cabrera. I think that is a key to the Indians down the stretch.
Absolutely, and perhaps the other key pitches tonight, the one last person I want to ask you about because I know I want to let you go here, Danny Salazar. I mean, we've seen what he's done. After the first start, it was, okay, maybe that was a first start thing. Then you throw him out there against Detroit, and we saw what he did. Unbelievable start there. What are your thoughts on Danny Salazar heading into his third start tonight?
Well, this kid's got a world of potential. He's very exciting to watch. I think it's going to be fun watching him pitch here in Cleveland the next several years. Now, I'll never say that a guy is a can't miss because that's been said before and we've seen guys miss. But this guy's about as close to a can't miss as you're going to find at this point. Where he's made it to the major leagues. He's done well in his first couple of games, but then you've got to break it down further. Why has he done well? Is it just because teams haven't seen him before? And that's a part of it. There's no doubt. But why else? And to me, his stuff, number one, is outstanding. Great fastball, high 90s, has life on it. Nice breaking pitch, good sharp break to it, good changeup. And overall, the thing that I like the most and the reason why I think he can succeed is he can throw all these pitches consistently for strikes. His command within the strike zone is very good for a person, at his spot, experience-wise, for a guy that's come off Tommy John, a guy that's missed basically 2 years almost of professional baseball. He's had a couple of years where he barely pitched in both of them because of the Tommy John. But, now he's back on track. He's showing no residual effects of that Tommy John surgery. If he can stay healthy, I'm telling you, Jerry, this kid, he's got it. There's no question. I mean, I've seen a lot of pitchers come and go, and this guy has the stuff. He's got the command. I think he has the mindset. I don't know him well enough yet to say that for sure, but the little bit that I've been around him, he seems to have that too. We'll see what he does tonight against the Minnesota Twins. And here's the other thing. He's going to have a bad outing or two somewhere. I don't think that's the end of the world, but he's definitely going to be a fun one to watch, and I'm really looking forward to tonight's game.
And you know what? He plays right into my whole, I'm kind of interested, I kind of watch this on the side, that whole phenomenon of these guys who come back stronger and throw stronger and faster after the arm surgery. That's just an amazing phenomenon that we're seeing more and more from these guys as they recover, much like he did. I mean, he's 4 miles an hour or so faster and with better control than he was before he had the surgery. So I'm excited, just like you, to see what Danny Salazar does tonight. And McAllister goes tomorrow, and then Carrasco. And he's going to be key here in the next few weeks, too, because you've got the dead arm. I mean, Kazmir's having trouble, and we know about Kluber being on the disabled list. Carrasco's going to have to help eat some innings here, I think, as well.
Yeah, that's where Carrasco becomes more important. And I remember at the start of the year, several people said, I expect Carlos to play an important role at some point this season. Well, I think we're going to see this now for the reasons you just mentioned, with Kazmir having the dead arm, and we'll see where that goes because Scotty's been so good for the Tribe this year. But
I know.
We'll see just where he ends up here in a couple of weeks and where he's going to go moving forward. Kluber with the injury, boy, is that unfortunate for him. I just talked to him the other day, and I said, man, Corey, I felt bad for you when that happened. And he said, yeah, not really a good time to get this. And that's because, he was pitching so well, the best he ever has in his career, and he was a key member of this rotation. He still can be. He feels like he'll be back in September. He feels it's not as severe as what Zach McAllister had, though it's a similar type issue with the finger. But, we'll see. Just the fact those two guys now have got some question marks around them with the health. And Zach McAllister, had his issues with the health and the finger in the middle portion of the season. A guy like Carrasco now does become very important. Now he's got to put the stuff behind him that he dealt with the last couple of years with the suspensions and maybe losing confidence here or there. Carrasco just needs to go out there and pitch like he did out of the bullpen the other night. He's got the stuff. There's no question. Now can that translate, that confidence level, to, yeah, I can get major league hitters out on a consistent basis. I can be that consistent starter.
And we're looking to see that. And this series is going to give us I think it's going to give us some clues, too, because not to look past Minnesota, but this is the kind of series the Indians need to get themselves together with, like you said, put themselves in position to make September some meaningful baseball. Al, I know you've got to start getting ready for the game tonight. I appreciate you joining us here, and I look forward to talking to you later, not just about the Indians, but once we hit basketball season, talking about some Vikings hoops. I know they're getting ready to head overseas for a big European trip.
Yeah, heading over this week. They're going to play 5 games against professional teams. You can do this once every 4 years in the NCAA. Excuse me. They did it last 4 years ago. They went to Spain. This time they're going to a couple different countries. But it's a great experience for them, allows them to gel. And I'm looking forward to this Cleveland State team, too. They've got some really, really nice young talent coming back. They've got some guys that are now eligible after sitting out their transfer year, like Trey Lewis, who he went to Garfield Heights. He's a very exciting player. He was originally at Penn State. He's got 3 years of eligibility. So this team is going to be, I think, a pretty good team. I think it's going to be a 20-win team here looking early out. We'll see how many more wins they go over that. But I think it's a definite postseason team. Now, which tournament they play in, again, we'll see as the season plays out. But I like it a lot. Gary Waters does a wonderful job with that program, and it's a joy to follow and be a part of.
Yeah, Coach Waters was just with us a few weeks ago, and he's, like you said, excited, just like you, for the season and for this trip. Really excited for this overseas trip, and Coach is going to be with us every week throughout the season. I'm looking forward to that, too. Al, right now, though, it's Indians time. Indians fever. They got to take care of business.
I hear you. Let's get it done.
You know it. Keep your pants off, Al. Keep your pants off.
Oh, yes, the reference to that yes, I understand where you're going with that.
I just find that funny. My timeline on Twitter is full of that every time the Indians win or lose. I know you once you get on Twitter, then they'll be hitting you with it too. Al PAWLOWSKI, though, seriously, thank you so much for joining us, and let's see what they do with this Minnesota Twins series.
Sounds great, Jerry, and remember, the Indians have historically not played well at Target Field, so that's another key to factor in here. If they can take 2 of 3, that's a nice series on the road against Minnesota.
Absolutely. Al PAWLOWSKI, you can see him tonight on the pre- and post-game shows and throughout the game with highlights as well. Sports Time Ohio. Al, thank you so much, my man.
You got it, pal. Take care.
All right, Al PAWLOWSKI. You know him. You hear him here talking Indians today, talking CSU Vikings hoops throughout the basketball season. Thank you to Al and Sports Time Ohio for joining us. Indians fans, get ready. Let's see what Danny Salazar can do tonight. Danny Salazar, Take 3. Let's see if it's the real deal. Meanwhile, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to shift gears and go to football, Daddy. John McMullen from the Sports Network is going to join us to talk about his big notes of what he's taken out from the first few preseason games here this past weekend. I want to talk to him about the Ravens picking up Dallas Clark, the new celebration rules. We want to talk Browns, what came out of that game as far as he saw it from a national perspective. It's John McMullen from the Sports Network talking NFL and Browns when we come back. Plus, don't forget, still looking for phone calls later on in the show to win them Browns tickets, Daddy. Live right here on the Sports Fix.
There's something kind of about a kid that's never played baseball.
Throwing you the best sports commentary in town. The Sports Fix.
It's an addiction. The Sports Fix. We'll be right back.
Business owners and professionals, do you want to take your business, your product, your team, your event to the next level? You want to advertise right here with the Sports Fix. Our listeners are among the most loyal listeners, terrestrial or internet. The Sports Fix universe is not only the radio show, but tens of thousands of fans on Facebook and Twitter. Email me, Jerry Myers, thesportsfix@AOL.com. That's thesportsfix@AOL.com. And let me help you swing for the fences and hit it out of the park right here on the Sports Fix.
I'm here again with Bill Opolich from Quick Lane at Valley Ford. Bill, what's new in the Quick Lane?
Battery rebate. Summer is just as hard on your battery as the winter. Quick Lane at Valley Ford will test your battery at no charge. And if you need a battery, we have a $25 mail-in rebate on the purchase of a tested tough Motorcraft battery starting at $79.95.
Wow, that's a great deal, Bill. Tell me more.
Our brake rebate is still on until June 30th. $25 per axle with the purchase and installation of Motorcraft brake pads, as well as offering a $50 rebate when you purchase $250 or more and charge your Ford Genuine credit card. Some exclusions apply. As always, we have a low price guarantee on all our tires. If you find the same price within 30 days, we will refund the difference. Stop in, let us check your battery and top off your washer fluid.
Where do I have to go to get those great deals?
Come to Quick Lane at Valley Ford on Canal Road between Rockside and Granger in Valley View. Just 10 minutes from downtown Cleveland. We're open at 7 every day. Open late Monday through Thursday till 9, Friday till 6, and Saturday till 2.
Go to quicklane.com/Valley Ford Truck.
Portions of the Sports Fix brought to you by Harry Buffalo. Harry Buffalo North Olmsted presents bike nights every Monday, all summer long. $3 beers and drinks for bikers, $5 pizza and more. Harry Buffalo, join the herd.
Hey Cleveland, this is Anderson Varejão of the Cleveland Cavaliers. You are listening to the Sports Fix.
Good morning, I'm Bob Picozzi. It's impossible to ignore the math. From 1997 to 2008, Tiger Woods won 14 majors, and in the last 5 years, he's won none. He finished tied for 40th in the PGA Championship, which Jason Dufner won yesterday in Rochester. So Woods has now played in 18 consecutive majors without winning one.
Is it concerning? No. As I said, I've been there in half of them. It's about right. You know, he's going to be in there three-quarters or half of them with a chance to win in the back nine, and just got to get it done.
Woods did not break 70 in any of his 4 rounds at the PGA at Oak Hill. The Jacksonville Jaguars have moved wide receiver Justin Blackmon and safety Jonathan Cyprien from the physically unable to perform list to the active roster. Each has passed their physical. Sources tell ESPN.com's Mark Stein that free agent forward Al Harrington is leaning toward signing with the Washington Wizards. The Rangers try to extend their winning streak to 8 games this afternoon when they conclude a 4-game series in Houston. Texas's hot streak now has them in first place in the AL West by a game over Oakland.
Hurry to Subway for the new $4 lunch. Choose from plenty of fully loaded 6-inch subs like the BLT and Spicy Italian with all the fresh veggies you love. Plus a 21-ounce fountain drink, all for just $4 all day, every day. Subway. Eat fresh.
You're listening to the Sports Fix.
That's how I feel every time I get to crack this microphone and talk to you, Daddy. Welcome back to the Sports Fix. We are, feeling good, baby. Only halfway done, halfway to go. Thank you again, Al PAWLOWSKI, Al Paws, my main man from Sports Time, Ohio. Looking forward to talking to him all winter long as well about Cleveland State Vikings hoops. Thanks to him for talking Indians. And hey, you guys, I'll tell you what. It's never over till it's over. That's all I'm going to say. We've got plenty of games left to go. Salazar, like I said, looking forward to seeing what he does in round 3 tonight. This is the Sports Fix. I am your host, J-Rocc, Jerry Myers, and we're getting ready to shift gears, hit the pigskin a little bit. My man, John McMullen from the Sports Network, I'm getting ready to pull him up on the phone lines now, talk to him about we've got a slate of games under the table from not just the Browns, but around the league. I want to see what's stuck out to my man, John McMullen, here about the first slate of games, and also talk to him about a few other things as well. Go into the phone lines now. John McMullen from the Sports Network, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Jerry.
Thanks for being here. Love having you every Monday. By the way, you guys can hear John right here. Well, I set the table for you there. First slate of games underway. What are your things that you've taken from what we've seen, or what you can take anyway, from the beginning of this preseason season?
Yeah, I don't get too caught up in preseason games, especially evaluating teams. I think preseason more today than ever is about evaluating players, usually the back end of your roster. Since the new CBA went into effect a couple of years ago, there's less repetitions in training camp, so this is really a chance for coaches to take a look at the guys at the back end of their roster. And you saw that with all the, cameos from the starting quarterbacks around the league. Everyone's so concerned with injuries, so it becomes a protection thing. Well, we'll see a little more through games 2 and 3 throughout the league. Generally, starters play a quarter or so, and then the third preseason game is the really one you have to look at it, since that's the one where guys will play usually into the third quarter. So, this first one, you got to get it under your belt. It's part of the process, but it's more about looking at those last 5 or 10 spots of your roster than anything else.
Yeah, absolutely. With me, and that's why it's hard for me sometimes until the regular season starts to know about some of the other teams, because I just can't really watch a lot of other teams' preseason football. But you can't look at the stats. Some people, I think, judge preseasons very falsely off of that. You have to watch the games. There's things you can take. There's tenets you can take out of the game that are going to portend to the regular season. And I think looking at a box score is the wrong way to evaluate those preseason games. Looking around the league, we talked last week. I mentioned to you about Baltimore as they were hit with some injuries at the tight end position. They addressed that yesterday as well, picking up Dallas Clark. What do you think about that move and what they've done there in Baltimore to try to shore up some of these injury issues?
Well, there's a perfect example, obviously, because, Baltimore went out and beat Tampa Bay pretty handily in their preseason opener. But, Ozzie Newsome is one of the best personnel guys in this business, and he understood that there were some issues on his team as far as, when you think about they traded Anquan Bolden away, and then you lose Dennis Pitta to the dislocated hip. So he understands he's got to have some veteran options in there for Joe Flacco, and they not only picked up Dallas Clark, they were able to pick up Brandon Stokely, bring him back to the organization. So you get a solid slot receiver, albeit, a 37-year-old guy, and Dallas Clark is what he is. He's not going to help you running the ball. He's not going to be a blocker, but he can still, I think he caught 40-something odd balls for Tampa Bay last year. So, he's a guy who could at least be that security blanket that maybe Pitta was going to be for Flacco. So that's what you do. You see what you have on hand, and you don't look at the scoreboard necessarily, because, people have to understand that coaching staffs are not game planning for these games. So they're not looking at the other team and saying, okay, this is what we have to do to beat this team. It's all about looking at your players and evaluating your players. And obviously Ozzie's a perfect example, because he wasn't comfortable. So he went out and got some of the veterans that were on the market.
Vashawn chimed in on our chat room, kind of exactly what you're saying, mirroring that. It's practice with a defined purpose, and you look more for execution and packages and things of that. That's kind of what I took mostly out of the Browns. When I watched and evaluated that new offense, it wasn't the yards or the big chunks of plays that they got. Yeah, you can look at that from it's whatever it is, but you look at offsides, you look at penalties, you look at how quickly they get in and out of the huddle, the organizational things. Those give you an idea of how well these players are grasping the basic schemes and the basic play calls.
Yeah, exactly. For Cleveland, as I said, for Cleveland, it wasn't about St. Louis. It was about Cleveland. It was about, seeing Brandon Whedon. It was about seeing the backup quarterbacks. It's about handling your own business. It's about getting everything you want to do down, more than looking at Jeff Fisher and saying, how are we going to stop, Sam Bradford, or how are we going to handle the defensive line of the Rams? None of that goes into anything until the regular season. So, you want to be able to, as you say, play a clean game. That's part of it. You don't want to look sloppy out there. You want the players to understand, and remember, there's 90 guys out there instead of 45 on game day, so basically twice as many people. So things can look like a Keystone Cops movie every once in a while. So, that's part of it. You got it when the real bullets are flying. It's I think, people look back in hindsight and say, why did teams do this and why did teams do that? It may seem like a slow game on TV, but when you got 40 seconds in between plays to get formations in, to get a play call in, to get things done, it's not as easy as it looks, and that's what this is all about.
And you know what? Talking about that, even with the play calls, Brandon Whedon, looking more specifically here to Cleveland, said that was one of the things that was the biggest difference from him from last year, was whether it was the type of headset communication they were using or the simplification of the language, but his headset communication was much better than it was last year. That was always an issue with him, I believe, throughout the season. I don't know what the exact issue with that is, but okay, with this first almost the entire training camp portion of the preseason here wrapping up around the league this week, injuries, that was one of the things you and I talked about 2 weeks ago as they kicked things off, avoiding those injuries. Who do you think, looking at the NFL as a whole, has been hurt the most by who they've lost and who they have to replace here after this training camp portion?
Well, I look at Philadelphia. Obviously, they've lost so many people, and I also look at San Diego, which lost two key people. When you talk about Alexander and Ingram, they lost earlier. So, these are guys who are down for the season. We mentioned Dennis Pitta in Baltimore; he's down for the season. But I look at that San Diego team specifically because if you think about that division, obviously Denver is going to win that division as long as Peyton Manning stays upright. It's not a very good division, but it's a division because the Raiders are the Raiders at this point, and the Chiefs are rebuilding from a 2-14 season. So I think San Diego was looking at a quick rebuild to be more competitive. And when you look at losing a wide receiver and losing one of your best defenders, and now Manti Te'o's also down. It's only going to be a week or so, but they've suffered some serious injuries, and it's going to be tough to replace the guys they lost. So, it's a division after Denver that's wide open. So you almost look at what could have been if you had a guy like Ingram, if you had a guy like Alexander on the outside. So I think San Diego's saying, ooh, it's tough to lose those types of players.
You bring up San Diego. I see, rookie head coach, once again, McCoy out there kind of taking some shots, some battles with the media for, not being forthcoming with injuries. And he's got, some people talking about him over there. It kind of reminds me of, what Pat Shurmur went through here in the beginning before he caused enough problems of his own. Just seems like a lot of times that's one of the things people don't take into consideration when you bring a rookie head coach on board is, those other things outside the X's and O's.
Yeah, I've often said I think the football stuff is the easy stuff. I think the more difficult thing is dealing with everything you have to deal with on a daily basis, and part of that is a media which can be overwhelming at times, especially in larger markets that are some of the things you got out of, for instance, college coaches. They can get away with sort of like having an iron fist and over their program and not letting players talk, not letting assistant coaches talk. That's not going to cut it in the NFL, and people are going to go around. They're going to go through agents. They're going to find ways to talk to people, and stories are going to get out, and that's just part of the job and part of it you have to deal with. And you're right, rookie head coaches, a lot of them are kind of shell-shocked when they see the stuff they have to go through, and it starts to hamper on their ability to get ready for the actual game. So I agree with you. That is a big part of it that people do not think about, and they just assume you hit the ground running and all that is just you go up and talk to the media for 10 minutes after practice. But, with all the scandals around the league this day, all of a sudden, we've talked about Riley Cooper for weeks. Chip Kelly is a first-year head coach. He didn't want to have to deal with that. That basically, stopped his training camp for a week. All people did, the entire national media came into Philadelphia, and they had to deal with that. So these are the kind of things that can be pitfalls for every rookie head coach.
since you mentioned Philadelphia real quick, I wanted to ask you, because I know that's your kind of backyard there. How's the quarterback situation shaking out there with Mike Vick and Foles?
Well, he's still playing the game that they haven't made a decision. I think both played pretty well in the preseason opener against New England. Vick played really well, but I think Michael Vick has already won the job. I think he actually won it in his handling of the Riley Cooper situation that we brought up. I think he showed himself to be a leader. I think he'll be there on opening day, Monday Night Football in Washington. I think whatever, edge he can gain by pretending he doesn't know who his guy's going to be and try to convince Mike Shanahan of that, I think that's what's going on now. But I'm pretty convinced Mike Vick is going to be the starter in Week 1.
Just figured I'd ask you that. Now, we talked about this guy. I want to start talking a little more specifically about the Browns. We talked about Dion Lewis and talked to you about the training camp portion of Dion Lewis and how he's flashed there, and he did the same thing up in Philly. And now we've seen him a little bit in this offense, again, taking what you can out of a preseason game. He looked like perhaps Norv Turner may have found, I never like to call somebody the next somebody, but like a Darren Sproles, that toy back that he can do a lot of things with out of the backfield.
Yeah, and that's what he's going to be. We mentioned that before. He's, because of his, there's certain limitations because of his size, and he's going to be a third down back in this league if he contributes. But I think he has the ability to be a very good third down back, especially if he picks up. That's another thing. That's sort of like we talked about the problems in coaching. I think, a lot of things fans don't see. The key to being a third down back in the NFL is not about catching the ball. It's not about showing your playmaking ability. First and foremost, you have to show the ability to pick up the blitz. And if you can't pick up the blitz, if they don't have confidence in you to keep the quarterback clean, you're not going to play. So that's number one. And I think a lot of people don't understand that. They see a guy who can, get in the open field and get in space and make things happen. They say, why isn't this guy on the field? Well, the quickest way to sit down is if you're getting your quarterback killed. So first and foremost, you have to prove you can do that and then move on from there. And that's what this is about. That's what these preseason games are about. And it's for guys like Lewis to prove they can do it on an individual level. And he showed some good things, certainly, in the first game.
And another person who did, I'm curious to get your perspective from outside of Cleveland, Barkevious Mingo, all the focus on him being the first pick of the Browns here in the draft. I thought that what he did in the first preseason game, I could care less about the actual getting sacks and stuff, but the speed, from the beginning, he impressed me at gunning down the field on the kickoff and doing what he had to do on special teams, not having that entitlement that a lot of people would have perhaps as a upper first round draft pick. But you could see his quickness coming off the ball as well. Ray Horton's going to have a lot of fun moving him around, I think, this season.
Yeah, and that's so key to that defense, moving to the 3-4 attacking defense. And if you're going to play that, you need edge players, you need edge rushers. And obviously Mingo is they want to be one, and they want Paul Kruger to be the other guy. And, the fact that we all know he has the athleticism to do it, but there's other parts to it. And obviously showing hustle, showing that motor that you're not going to take plays off is a big part of it. Showing that you can be consistent, showing that you can at least hold the edge during the running game is a key. So all of that is, and there's going to be some hiccups. Let's be honest about it. I mean, rookies are rookies, and they're going to have some issues moving forward. But when you talk about a guy like Barkevious Mingo, obviously the athleticism is there. So you have to learn to be a professional. You have to learn to bring it every day, and that's what they're trying to teach him right now, and that they're trying to get him ready to be on that field consistently, I believe, in Week 1. And
I think that music to a lot of Browns fans' ears there as well, because they too want to see him make that impact. And I agree, he and Kruger, those linebackers and the waves of the front four as well front three, but I'm used to the traditional set. But those are going to be key to how this works, is how the pressure that they can get on the quarterback. It's a pressure-based defense, and he seems like he's got some various different tools Ray Horton does on that defense. The thing I worry about the most is that he's going to turn this Browns defense into something pretty aggressive this season, and then, he was almost a head coach in this past offseason. I could very easily see Ray Horton being one and done as the defensive coordinator here in Cleveland.
Yeah, he's a very highly regarded guy. There's no question about that. And if all of a sudden that turns into a top 5 defense, say, and the Browns are in, position for a playoff slot in a very, very difficult division, yeah, Ray Horton's going to be one of those guys that is on a lot of short lists. So you could be right with that one. But, you have to take advantage of a guy when he's there, and they have him. And I think the 3-4 fronts with that sort of amoeba defense that everyone runs, I think that's the way to go in the NFL now when you have, it's basically the same as the old school 4-3, except that you don't know where that fourth rusher is coming from. So that's the key. It's disguise. It's trying to fool the quarterback, and I think that is the way you almost have to play defense in today's NFL, which is, so many rule changes over the past 10 to 20 years that are all geared towards offense. So it's basically attack or basically kill or be killed. So I like the fact that they brought a guy like Ray Horton in, and I think it speaks well, but you're right, it could be a short window. So, players should take advantage of a defensive coordinator like him when they have the ability to learn from him.
And you talk about changes in rules. I think the Browns are going to be celebrating a lot of sacks because I really do. We know Ray Horton's defense, if anything, they usually finish near the upper portion of the league in sacks. I look forward to that this year, but they won't be celebrating them, or if they will, there's going to be a lot of flags because talking about rule changes, the NFL loves to keep tweaking these things, and now pretty much if you look at the camera and say, "Hi, Mom," how many people have been caught on the camera doing that over the years? You could get flagged for that. I mean, they've literally made every individual act of expression now part of the no celebrating rule. What are your thoughts on that? Because I agree that too much is not good, but I think too little and that whole no fun league is reality.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of interested to see how they apply that rule. That and the crown of the helmet rule for running backs, which everyone kind of got upset about early on. I don't. They tend to give the referees leeway in these certain things. I think if someone raises their arms or celebrates a sack, I'm pretty sure they're not going to be throwing flags out there left and right. If you start celebrating, maybe Jared Allen's calf roping escapades or something like that, they're trying to skew that down. But I'm interested to see what they do. As far as actually implementing this, because a lot of times the officials use common sense, and what they really don't want is taunting, and what they really don't want is you directing it at other people, and meaning the other team. They want to cut that down, and they want to cut celebrations down where you're actually doing things with another teammate. Do I like it? No. I think if you make a big play in the NFL, it's so difficult to do. You should be allowed to celebrate in any way possible. You shouldn't be able to taunt the other team. I didn't mind when everybody was doing if you think about the old Redskins and the Fun Bunch and all those, grandiose celebrations. I thought that was too much. But, the icky shuffle, that kind of stuff is just fun.
I grew up with the icky shuffle. You know what I mean? No, I'm with you. But I do agree that it's gone too far because nowadays players make standard tackles and get up and they celebrate like they just won the Super Bowl. And those drive me crazy because it's like, no, that's what you're supposed to do. You know what I mean? But
and receivers when they get up and they point for a first down. I agree with you. I don't think they should be doing it, but I don't think it hurts the game in any substantial fashion. So I think this is one of those things
I don't have a problem with either.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I think this is one of those things where they're making a problem bigger than it really is.
Yeah, just like the socks and all the other stuff with the uniform police. But before I let you go, I kind of want to ask you something because I'm going to take this into my next segment and I want to talk about this. But, You brought up Jeff Fisher while we were talking here in the last 20 minutes, and you brought up professionalism, and those two collided with Bernie Kosar here over the weekend. And, the Browns, last night, released an apology, very much throw Bernie Kosar under the bus. And I've got my own thoughts on that in a minute, but what's your take out of what happened here this weekend with Jeff Fisher and Bernie Kosar and Joe Banner?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was blown out of proportion. I'm not all too sure Bernie wasn't correct. So, people are too sensitive about certain things. That's just my opinion. I think, obviously, I think this will be in the rearview mirror in 2 days. I don't think an apology needed to come from Cleveland. But if the guy's insulted, go out and improve your team and prove them wrong. That's always the best way. I was on a different radio show and they asked me about the rule changes too, and they were talking about, the Lambeau leap and should the Packers be able to do it. And I said, if you don't want the Packers to do it, stop them from scoring a touchdown. It's pretty simple.
There you go. The Lambeau leap, though, that's a part of that whole thing there. You can't take that away. You know what I mean? I mean, if the Browns ever get back to scoring touchdowns again, which I think this new offense will, they used to jump into the dog pound after touchdowns, too. We just haven't had very many touchdowns to jump about lately. But so I do think there's certain things where, like you said, it's so hard to do, and it is such an accomplishment that you should be able to celebrate it, So... but with the Bernie thing, I'm going to take that into the next segment because I'm with you 110% on that. John McMullen from the Sports Network, always fun to talk about the news of the week in the NFL. We'll get another preseason week behind us, and then we'll talk to you again next Monday right here on the show.
All right, thanks for having me, Jerry.
Thanks for being here. My man, John McMullen from the Sports Network. When we come back, that's right, Vashon, the Lambeau leap was grandfathered in. When we come back, we're going to keep talking about that, and I'm going to open up the phone lines because I want to talk to you about Bernie Kosar, about Joe Banner, and Jeff Fisher. Should the Browns have apologized the way they did? Because I have a different philosophy on how that should have went, and how much or was Bernie Kosar out of line at all. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll read the story to you when we come back, and we'll talk about it and take your phone calls because we are still rolling hot and heavy here on the Sports Fix. We're talking Bernie Kosar, Joe Banner, Jeff Fisher, and taking your calls live when we come back right here on the Sports Fix.
We here at the Sports Fix are very in-depth when we interview the sports stars.
Oh, I saw the whole thing, dude. First you were all like, whoa, and then we were like, whoa, and then you were like, whoa. What are you talking about? You caught serious thrill issues, dude. Oh, awesome. Ooh.
Maybe not, but you should still listen.
It's an addiction. The Sports Fix. We'll be right back.
Portions of the Sports Fix brought to you by GV Art and Design. It's not just a shirt, it's a statement. GVArtwork.com.
You love Cleveland, and you already know how much we love Cleveland. You know who else loves Cleveland? GV Art and Design. Everyday fans, you and I wear our pride on our sleeves. Now, you can wear your pride on your chest. GV Art and Design has one of the hottest Cleveland sporting lines. Log on right now to GVArtwork.com. Check out all of their fantastic designs.
And don't forget, use the sales code FIX to save 10% on your total purchase.
Follow GVArtwork.com on Facebook. And remember, GV Art and Design, it's not just a shirt, it's a statement. Sports Fix listeners, don't wait all day or all week to get in on the fun. The party doesn't stop when we go off the air all week long. The Sports Fix social media sites are your one-stop shop for all things Cleveland sports. Jump over to Facebook.com/TheSportsFix, Facebook.com/TheSportsFix, and become a fan today because we love fans and they create some of the best sports talk in town, Daddy. You'll enjoy talking to your fellow Cleveland sports fans on the Sports Fix fan page. And if Twitter's your thing, well, you know how we do it. Tweet with us at The Sports Fix CLE. It's that simple.
Twitter.com/TheSportsFixCLE, baby.
Chat live with the crew during all your favorite Cleveland sports events, tickets and contests and trivia and so much more. Get with us today, The Sports Fix on social media, Facebook.com/TheSportsFix. Tweet with us at The Sports Fix CLE. Join The Sports Fix on Facebook and Twitter today.
The engines are cranking and purring, and that can only mean one thing. Bike nights are back at Harry Buffalo North Olmsted. Rev up your hogs and head on down to Harry Buffalo North Olmsted every Monday night. Enjoy $3 drinks and beers,
$5 pizzas,
and crazy wing specials for all bikers, all on their open patio.
Woo-hoo!
Hot bikes, good friends, and great times are waiting for you. 4824 Great Northern Boulevard, right outside Great Northern Mall. Monday bike nights at Harry Buffalo, the proud sponsor of the Sports Fix.
Hey, Cleveland, this is Ed Doherty, voice of San Ignatius Wildcat Football, and you're listening to The Sports Fix.
Don't just hear the show, be heard. Call us now, 216-539-7535, and get your fix.
Welcome back to the Sports Fix, where indeed life is a highway for the Cleveland sports fan, for the sports fan in general, for the listeners here at the Sports Fix, because we go up and down and round and round. We have a good time, and I thank you so much for joining us. You know, I told you guys this before, I think, but they taught me in broadcasting school way back when I was first getting started in this thing that you could hear the smile through the radio. If you smile, and I thought that was the goofiest sounding thing, but I'm pretty sure it's true, because I'm smiling ear to ear. I just get jacked up every day when we're on the air. I get the comments coming in here so much between the phone lines, which are open, by the way, and the Facebook and the Twitter. Tweet with us at the Sports Fix CLE, Facebook.com/the Sports Fix, in the Mixler chat room. It gets me going, Daddy. And you know what else got me going over the weekend? That's right, Fashawn. You make comments in the chat room, and we are live back here on the Sports Fix. J-Rocc with you. The phone lines are open, which means now is your first chance to be entered to win those tickets to the Browns and the Lions game this Thursday. Every phone call, every caller gets their name in the hopper. That's how we're giving away these tickets to Thursday's game. So give us a call, 216-539-7535. The topic right now, of course, I want to talk Bernie Kosar, Joe Banner, Jeff Fisher. This thing, as John McMullen, who I thank, by the way, for joining us, as John so succinctly said before we went to the break, it's another instance of making something out of nothing. And I'm not look, I've had people warn me that I shouldn't even talk about this today because you can't be right either way you go, because Bernie fans are going to be mad if you criticize him and the, vice versa if you stick up for him. But listen, while maybe there might have been just a harsh, too much, tiny bit of what Bernie said, I don't really see it because, first things first, not that this is any kind of a defense if you think Bernie was wrong, but how many times in how many sports and how many broadcasts do we hear people make their little one-liner about Cleveland, their little snide comment about Cleveland, or about a player on the Browns, or about a Cleveland team's lack of talent, or whatever it may be in the different circumstances, and I have never heard anybody come to the defense of Cleveland nationally, but somehow Peter King decided to make this his trumpet call for the weekend because you know why? Because he's on the Monday morning quarterback bus and he's going around the nation right now doing what's called promotion. He's doing what's called a promotional tour for his Monday morning quarterback website. And how do you get promotion for something? You stir up controversy. And so he just found another hornet's nest that he can dip himself into, and he did that right here, stirred up this whole thing that turned into a blown up situation where Jeff Fisher lost respect for Bernie Kosar because and I was watching the game and I remember going, oh man, Bernie, that's telling it like you feel, I looked at the TV and I said, tell them how you really feel, Bernie, because they got to talking about Kellen Clemens and how he gave an autograph to a Pope. And I remember Jim Donovan, the way he was setting it up was saying that Kellen Clemens was one of only 2 NFL players who the Pope had ever gotten their autograph. And Bernie said, something to the effect of, "Forgive me, Father, I have sinned," because I actually have to watch him play for the entire fourth quarter. Harsh? Yes. Wrong? No, absolutely not. He was harsh on a third-string quarterback, and then I thought it was kind of funny. He looks at his depth chart. I'm sorry. If you think I'm wrong, if you think Bernie's wrong, I do think that he probably would have been better off just not saying it, but I think he felt comfortable enough and free enough to speak his mind as he's looking at the depth chart. And he says, "I got to make sure that I don't know the receivers coach before I criticize him because these guys are terrible." I mean, he was right. He was right. He said, "Poor Sam Bradford. I don't know how he completes a pass throwing it to these wide receivers." And then Jim Donovan said, "Hey, what if their parents are watching?" And he goes, "They should be embarrassed, But anyways, okay. Let's stop there. That's what happened. That's what got Jeff Fisher in a thing. And then, of course, Jeff Fisher took his shots at Bernie Kosar, saying Bernie has his issues that we know about, hinting towards alcohol abuse. And then Peter King tweeted, "Was Bernie drinking on the air? He went too far." Again, both of those, I think, making a mountain out of a little teeny tiny molehill. You know what I'm saying? What Bernie said, to me, not that big of a deal. And like I said, I've heard similar, many other cases never really made a big deal of. But here's the thing. If I am the Cleveland Browns, I do not release a statement. Let me read this, by the way. We got the email last night from the Browns, like everybody else. Says, "We do not condone the personal and unprofessional approach that Bernie took with some of his comments during the broadcast Thursday night. We've spoken to Bernie. He understands that, and we would expect the situation is resolved moving forward. We've also reached out to the Rams organization and shared those same sentiments." See, me personally, I absolutely don't think that the Browns had any business making any statement short of what some of the more professional statements that you would hear in a situation like this, where the Browns release a statement after they talk to Bernie privately, and Bernie apologizes and says, "Hey, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to offend anybody. I'll think about what I say more." But as far as the Browns go, they should have addressed it as, "We understand there's been concerns about the broadcast of the game. We've spoken to all of our broadcasters about what we feel is and isn't appropriate for broadcast, and we feel that our broadcasters will maintain those standards going forward." Boom. You threw nobody under the bus. You addressed it behind the scenes. But to me, I think Joe Banner was trying too hard. Joe Banner was trying too hard to, whether it was, make an impression with the league or make it seem like, the Browns ain't playing, But I just thought that there was no need for the Browns organization to put out an official statement like that and criticize Bernie Kosar in that manner. Was Bernie Kosar wrong? I don't know. I don't know how you say he was wrong. First off, because he was just saying his opinions. And like I've said before, but, there's issues too. Is Bernie Kosar in that vein when he's calling the preseason games? Is he under the auspices of the Browns? Is he under the auspices of Channel 3? Does he work? Who does he officially work for? Because that was another question that I had, is would that even be an issue for the Browns? I mean, of course the Browns could address that thing, but would that be an issue for the Browns, or would that be an issue for Channel 3 to address? So I was kind of curious about that. But, as I open the phone lines, by the way, 216-539-7535, I want to hear from you Browns fans what you think. Was Bernie Kosar wrong, or was Jeff Fisher wrong? Was Peter King wrong for going way overboard on something like this? As the comments are coming in on the chat room, Jim Donovan was setting him up. And I do agree, by the way, Vashon, with your earlier comment that, yes, Bernie Kosar perhaps was trying too hard to be funny, but in no way, I'm going to say this right now, and we've talked about it on the air. I know there was the issue on the radio last year. I'm talking about strictly in the vein of working for Channel 3 and broadcasting preseason Cleveland Browns football games. There's no way in the world, Bernie Kosar or not, he can be number 19, he can be Cleveland's hero, all of that stuff. There's no way Channel 3 and Jim Donovan, as one of the utmost professionals in the NFL broadcasting ranks, there's no way that they allow Bernie Kosar to be on the air under the influence. So for people to insinuate that, to me, is taking a cheap shot at, we already know. Now, maybe there are other issues behind the scenes with Bernie Kosar. Maybe there are other issues besides the head injuries that we've talked about, the things that give him the Parkinson's-like syndrome. But at the same time, on the air, I think to insinuate that I think you're not only insulting Bernie Kosar by insinuating that he was drunk on the air, and I understand people that aren't used to Bernie, people that aren't from here, that aren't used to the slur in the speech. If you heard it nationally, you may think, hey, has this guy had one too many? You know, does he got the secret sauce under the table? But, you know, in reality, we here in Cleveland know that at least in that vein, that's not it. And I just refuse to believe that the producers at Channel 3, who I know some of them, I refuse to believe that Jim Donovan would go on the air and not address that before the broadcast if that was truly the circumstances that were going on. So, you know, for Peter King, though, I'm telling you, if you can't put two and two together and figure out why he found himself a controversy here in Cleveland to step into, you can look at that 40-foot bus that I walked past at training camp, that new website, and that shiny new endeavor that Peter King and Sports Illustrated are going on. That's why Peter King found his way to see fit to putting his foot into a little small issue and blowing it up into something much bigger than it should have been. You know what I'm saying? I'm just keeping it real. That's my thoughts on it. So at the end of the day, you know, who do you blame? Who do you blame for blowing it up too far? Or do you think it wasn't? Because if it wasn't, then, you know, the Browns didn't go far enough. Because you can make that example as well. It's totally up to you which way you want to take it and which way you want to go with it. I'm just looking at it from my perspective that I truly didn't think, number one, first and foremost, that what Bernie did was apologizable on behalf of the organization. I don't even know that Bernie should have had to come out and apologize for anything. But, you know, it's the society, and I was trying not to go into this societal argument, but it's the society that we belong to. It's the everybody's a winner society that we're a part of. It's the you can't hurt anybody's feelings society that we're a part of. Because let me tell you, I'm 100% positive that those wide receivers who were botching their routes have heard much worse from their wide receivers coach during training camp than what Bernie Kosar said about how they were an embarrassment on the field. I'm pretty sure that they've heard much, much worse around the league, around their Twitter, I'm sure that their fellow players, you know, the ones who know the difference between who sucks and who doesn't, I'm pretty sure they've heard worse from their fellow players as well. Now, I can understand Vashon's point here when he said you don't bring family into it. I understand that. That's the one place where perhaps you can go, Bernie went too far. Because criticizing the wide receivers coach, I have no problem with whatsoever. Criticizing the wide receivers and the players, I have no problem there. And as far as his comments about Kellen Clemens, the same thing there. I don't find a problem with any of those. The one statement, if any, that you could say, man, Bernie, maybe you should have held back on that one, would be when Jim Donovan asked him, well, what if their parents are watching the game? And he said, well, then they should be embarrassed, you know. But he didn't mean they should be embarrassed because, well, I guess, okay, the more you... maybe that one there, Bernie went a little bit too far. But at the end of the day, I think it's a mountain out of a molehill, and it's done and over with, and it should be something that we never talk about again after today going forward. I'm surprised that it had the legs that it did over the weekend, but you gotta believe that it has played itself out. And like John said just a little bit ago, 2-3 days from now, this is a completely forgotten about matter. There it is, said and done, moving on. We're going to hit the break, actually, because I want to bring you a special message about my friends at Tri-State Quality Builders, who are bringing you the Browns tickets that we're giving away. And by the way, as we go to the break, don't forget, email thesportsfix@AOL.com and nominate somebody that you think truly deserves to go to the Cleveland Browns versus the Detroit Lions on the Sports Fix's dime, and we've got tickets for some lucky winner right then and there. Not only that, but we're giving away tickets on the air. Every phone call this week gets your name in the hopper to win Browns tickets. So pick up the phone during the break, because when we come back, we're taking calls and wrapping things up. Don't go anywhere. Still got more Sports Fix to go. 216-539-7535 is the number to call. You're listening to the Sports Fix, Daddy.
To the Sports Fix. If you want to be my lover.
It's an addiction. The Sports Fix. We'll be right back.
Portions of the Sports Fix brought to you by Tri-State Quality Builders. Has severe weather damaged your home? Get a quote today at tristatequalitybuilders.com.
Incoming transmission. You got a message.
Sports Fix listeners, don't wait all week to join in on the fun. Follow the Sports Fix on Facebook.
Follow the Sports Fix on Facebook.
They love friends. It's just a click away. Exclusive contests, trivia, tickets, and giveaways from the hottest sports show in town, The Sports Fix. Become a friend and follow The Sports Fix on Facebook today.
Message.
Joe, thanks for working late last week. Hey, did you guys get hit by that nasty storm over the weekend? The news said it was hailing golf balls right in your area.
We sure did, and it was bad. It tore holes in the roof and tore down the drainage system, too. It did about $10,000 in damage.
Wow. Well, at least you and Susie have homeowner's insurance.
Yeah, right. We do. But they're claiming improper coverage and say it has to come out of my pocket. I know my policy is supposed to cover it, but they say it's final. I don't have that kind of money.
My in-laws had the same problem last year when their house flooded. Insurance didn't want to pay out, but they worked with Tri-State Quality Builders, who not only made the repairs, but helped them with their insurance paperwork and got the denied claim accepted.
Really? Who's this again?
Tri-State Quality Builders. They are the home damage repair experts throughout Ohio, Indiana, and Kentucky. They're with you from step one, assisting policyholders in filing their claims and getting denied claims accepted. They have a 91% success rate in making sure their clients don't come out of pocket one red cent. The best part for my in-laws is Tri-State Quality Builders stuck by their side and guided them through the entire process, making it far less scary. Plus, they're family-owned and in business for over 60 years, so you know you're getting dealt with personally and honestly.
Tri-State Quality Builders sounds exactly like who I need to call. Boy, my wife's going to be glad I talked to you.
Call today and find out how Tri-State Quality Builders can help you recover from catastrophic home damage caused by floods, fire, wind, hail, and more. Cut through all the insurance red tape, keeping your money in your pocket. Call 888-308-3102 or log on to their website, tristatequalitybuilders.com.
This is Josh Tomlin of Cleveland Indians, and you're listening to the Sports Fix.
Thank you for calling the Sports Fix. May I ask who's calling?
Dark Helmet. I am your father's brother's nephew's cousin's former roommate.
So what does that make you to the show?
Absolutely nothing.
Call the Sports Fix, even if you have nothing to say at all.
Welcome back to the Sports Fix, streaming live here on the sportsfix.net, and I've got a call on the phone lines. Matter of fact, before we jump back into the show, let's do that now. Caller, you're live on the Sports Fix.
What's happening, fellas?
What's up? Who's this?
Joey Caggiano.
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. You know, I was thinking about the Bernie situation, and I don't think he said anything wrong. I mean, your commentary for the game has to have some excitement in it, has to have a little comedy in it, and, you know, has to be on point, and that's exactly what Bernie did.
I mean, absolutely. I was saying I truly think the only point where anybody maybe could have had a problem was with the comment about the parents when that was an offhanded, flippant remark. But I agree with you. You can't get mad at him for criticizing receivers who aren't running routes and a receivers coach whose receivers are not doing the job that they're supposed to be doing. I didn't see that, but, you know, curious to see how other people feel as well.
Yeah, and I would think that Fisher would have so much more to worry about than to worry about somebody's commentary during a preseason game, but, you know.
Way much more.
Way much more. And Banner, you know, he's justified. Banner's running a business, and in running a business, you have to be the spokesperson of this business, and you have to go out and make apologies for something just to be polite, be politically correct when it comes to running your corporation. So I can totally understand what Banner did. Bernie, I don't see anything wrong with it. Fisher, come on, man. Worry about something else.
I agree with that. Me personally, like I said, I would have simply phrased it wrong, perhaps. Maybe made it just seem a little less like you were just throwing your guy under the bus. But I agree that the Browns did need to address it. I just didn't think that they maybe needed to be as straightforward against Bernie as they were. But what's done is done. Gerald Brown, by the way, on the Facebook page says he feels Joe Banner was wrong. Bernie wasn't wrong in his comments, and by the way, Kellen Clemens does suck. That, I think any of us can, say, hey, Bernie's freely in his rights to criticize somebody like that. Joe, anything else you want to talk about?
No, that's it, man. Check us out at newbrownsmusic.com. We got some new songs coming in the next week or two here, and the new album coming out. You guys have a great day. Keep doing the good job you're doing.
Absolutely. Appreciate it. You guys check them out. That's my man Big Joe, newbrownsmusic.com, and I'm going to drop his name into the hopper for Cleveland Browns tickets. Matter of fact, he's the first one to go today, tomorrow, and Wednesday. Every phone call gets your name. I'm actually writing it down on the little hopper slip right now. Joey C., first name in the hopper to win Browns tickets for Thursday night's game against the Detroit Lions. You can get your name in the hopper too. 216-539-7535. 216-539-7535 is the number to call. Don't forget as well, you can nominate somebody that you know that you believe deserves to win a very special pair of tickets as well. Email us, thesportsfix@AOL.com, as the comments keep pouring in here about Bernie Kosar on our Facebook page and in our chat room. Brett Novak chimes in and says, as correct as Bernie Kosar may have been, he picked the wrong time to belittle Clemens. Considering all that Bernie's gone through in the past several years, not sure it was appropriate, but he wasn't wrong in what he said. And I agree there. I think most people agree that Bernie, was pretty right in what he said. I think it was just the matter of the whole thing. Vashon was right as well. I mean, it was off-the-cuff comments, and that's, one of the reasons why, guys try not to, certain guys that do the commentary for a living. I think you got to remember as well, Bernie is a part-timer when it comes to that. He does every preseason for us, but that's all. He only does the preseason games, and I'm not making excuses. I'm saying that, Jim Donovan does it, on a basis where he kind of has that filter. And I think Bernie, it was a combination of later in the game and the long night, the workload, and the no filter, and the fact that he was trying to be off the cuff funny. And I think I'm willing to bet, especially after all of this, they got stirred up off of this, that if Bernie could have it back now, he just would have said none of what he did, because he really truly was simply trying to be, I think, a little bit too funny. Brett chimes in as well on the Facebook page and said the Browns organization had to say something to make it look as if Bernie was wrong. He picked the wrong platform to go off on, but everyone qualifies their comments with, but P.S., Kellen Clemens really is terrible. So, at least that's going to behoove people to Bernie Kosar. So a lot of various comments on there as I kind of expected when we brought this thing up. And don't forget, all week long, comments on the Facebook page are great. They keep popping in one after another here. I'm trying to read them as they come in, but the phone calls, get your name in the hopper, 216-539-7535. Although we are almost, Don Annis, why you got to go there? Why you got to go there? Isn't winning tickets to the Browns versus the Lions a misnomer? Really, Don? Do we got to go there? Anyways, as we're wrapping things up, spread the word. Keep that in mind. I did want to touch on, I'm not going to get out of here without forgetting, Cleveland did win a championship, a world championship, baby. As the Plain Dealer Sports section said, a major award. Fragile, daddy. Jason Dufner, Cleveland native, wins the PGA Championship yesterday and had an amazing weekend, really a well-played weekend for him. We saw him getting close in his last few tournaments out there, and we saw him perhaps building to this right here, but always love when we can come on here and talk about one of our own, going out there and making Cleveland look good. And I guess perhaps that's the one thing about the Bernie Kosar situation that's sad, whether you think Bernie was right, wrong, or indifferent, Joe Banner, etc., Jeff Fisher. it put Cleveland in another conversation in a light that I hate to see our city brought up in. I'm looking forward to the day that stuff doesn't matter. But I will still throw this out there. Whether you think Bernie Kosar was right or whether you think Bernie Kosar was wrong, I will say this, that there have been, and you all know I'm right, plenty of times that people in other towns, national commentators, etc., have made similar comments, with the exception of the parents' part, have made similar comments and various slurs and derogatory remarks about the city of Cleveland or about the athletes who play for the various teams over the years. Never been as big a deal as this was made by Peter King. Why? Because at the time they made fun of Cleveland, number one, there's no money in sticking up for Cleveland, and number two, nobody was building the website, a blog, or a TV show. So hopefully the next time somebody insults Cleveland, somebody's building a website or a blog or something and they can bring it to their attention. But then again, like I said, there's no money in sticking up for Cleveland. Anyways, we do it because we don't look to get paid, because we love Cleveland, Daddy. We love this city. We love each and every one of you. We love the Clevelanders spread throughout America and around the world. Not only that listen to us, but that follow Cleveland, that represent Cleveland worldwide, because no matter what they tell you elsewhere, we're bad as can be, Daddy. Cleveland, nothing but pride, nothing but love. Stand tall. Don't let people make you feel down about yourself. We've got to go. Don't let people tell you not to call in tomorrow and win some Browns tickets. Cleveland Browns tickets tomorrow. We're giving those away this week for the Browns and the Lions game. Let's see. Dr. Football, Bill Chickus is going to join us tomorrow. Jeff Gorman from Indians 101 will be with us. Mike Brandenberry from DidTheTribeWinLastNight.com. Wednesday, Andre Knott joins us. We've got sports writer Jonathan Knight later this week. BJ Riddell for fantasy football. Ed Doherty, Ryan Ruiz, so much more. Tomorrow, though, same bat time, same bat channel, right here on the Sports Fix. We'll see you tomorrow, Cleveland. We love you, Daddy. Have a great night. Go, Danny Salazar. Go, Cleveland Indians. Get it done tonight against the Twins. We'll see you tomorrow.
We brought it back, thanks to Cleveland Clinic. Now they call them kids to cardiac. Rock Call, Science Center, Tower City, all of that. Warehouse District, Euclid Corridor, and all the flat. You know that I'm a Tribes fan, and I love sliming. Crockett Park's the perfect place for me to spend some time in. Baby, this is Cleveland. It is so much more to us. You can even go to Severance Hall to see an orchestra. Hey.
We rep our city. Blue lights separate the ground from the gritty. We're sick fitted. Hood pass cover any city that we